You got the drop on 50 Cent one time?
We thought we did until we got in there. Mike called us, told he was up there. I got up there. We got up there, we came in and strapped to they thigh, bullies on them, semis on them, magazine cartridges. I said, yeah, he ain't slipping.
Today's not the day.
Nah, 50 moved different,
And did 50
I'm glad
see
that
you?
didn't happen though, he see me. But he didn't know that's what we was on. We never approached him. I'm glad it never happened.
I've seen stories of you. What was this one story? You were out at a bar, someone was coming there and they were surprised to see you had some Navy SEAL kind of characters with you. And I imagine this was like long time ago we're talking.
You know what happens? I come from like a place where you have to be ready. Don't get ready, you gotta be ready, right? And I would layer things around me to prepare for different type of situations.
50 Cent taught us that, not trying to throw shots at him. Sure. But you could not do nothing to him because he had that real security.
50 Cent's known as one of the sharpest minds in the game, and Wack100 learned that the hard way. Tony Yayo once said it straight up. G-Unit never had to check in with anybody. They moved like a straight-up militant unit, locked in and ready to go. 50 even backed that up himself, saying, I come from a place where you have to be ready. Don't get ready. You gotta be ready. That's real talk. So when Wack100 thought he could run a little extortion game on 50, man, he had no clue what he was walking into. This whole mess popped off during one of Wack100's wild clubhouse sessions where he dropped another outlandish 50 Cent story. He brought it all the way back to when 50 was still beefing with his former G-Unit soldier, Game. Wack, who was managing Game at the time, decided to insert himself right into the drama. According to Wack, he got word that 50 was posted up at the SLS Hotel in Los Angeles, chillin' at the small bar. Wack claims he rolled up with about 10 of his people, deep and ready to confront 50 face to face. But what happened next? He did not expect it. I'll never forget the move that dude 50 pulled. A move on us, so gangster, Wack said.
Drop on 50 Cent one time?
We thought we did.
Right.
We thought we did. Until we got in there.
Soon as they stepped inside, Wack said the energy felt off. He clocked the room and started noticing something strange. It wasn't just 50 chilling at that bar. He was surrounded by 8 stone-faced dudes who looked like they just walked off a Navy SEAL mission.
Mike called us, told he was up there. I got up there. He came in.
How deep were you?
About 15.
15 people.
Yeah, we wasn't that deep.
This wasn't just rap beef anymore. It felt like a tactical operation. 50 Cent didn't just come with bodyguards. He came with an elite unit that looked ready to throw down if anything went sideways. Wack said those dudes around 50 were moving with cold precision, locked in, armed up, and fully alert.
Got up there, we came in and shit. You had Navy SEALs with him. 2 in all directions. I was about 6 up.
It was clear 50 wasn't surprised by their arrival at all. He was ready. Looking back, Wack even thinks 50 set them up on purpose just to flex and make a bold statement. Now here's where it gets shady. Some people felt like Wack might have been trying to shake 50 down. Why? Because 50 never checked in while in LA. And that's a big deal for someone like Wack, who's always preaching about how important it is. He's tried to play it down by saying it's just about letting people know you're in town. But it's deeper than that. Wack even claimed that he checks in when he travels, but let's keep it real. In street culture, checking in means way more than just a friendly heads up. When a rapper or celeb pulls up in a city with heavy gang presence, they're expected to connect with certain people on the ground, a kind of unspoken street pass. And trust, that pass usually comes at a price. Sometimes it's cash, sometimes it's a feature for one of their artists, sometimes it's just connections, but either way, something's expected in return. To some, it's just showing respect, like saying, I'm in your zone, everything's cool. But others call it exactly what it feels like, extortion. Because if it's all about respect, why are there real consequences when someone doesn't check in? In cities like LA, some artists go along with it, linking up with local gangs for that extra layer of protection, like street insurance, but not everybody rolls like that. And 50 Cent? He's definitely not one of those artists. He doesn't do favors and he doesn't bow to street politics. It wasn't just Wack100 who tried to check 50 Cent. Suge Knight had his own moment too. And you already know when Suge gets involved, things go left fast. This whole thing really traces back to the drama with Dr. Dre. When Dre dipped out of death row to start his own empire, Suge took that as straight up betrayal. Then Dre signed Eminem and later brought 50 Cent into the Aftermath camp. That's when the tension really lit up. Since Suge already had a long-running beef with Dre, 50 and M inherited that smoke by default. And Suge, he wasn't about to let that slide. He made it crystal clear he was still lurking in the shadows, watching everything. One of the wildest moments went down while 50 Cent was filming the iconic In Da Club music video. Everything was smooth until someone on set shouted, "Suge Knight is here." Just those 4 words sent the whole production into chaos. Suge didn't roll up solo, he pulled in deep with around 30 heads, many of them reportedly tied to a heavy-hitting Mexican gang. Outside the set, it was all tension. Classic Suge move, no invite, no warning, just pure intimidation.
Respect to Eminem, 50, and that was with us. So Suge came, he had some Mexican niggas. Now we from New York. You ain't never seen a nigga with a tattoo on his forehead. Likes the cigar, and it's the shit about Suge. He liked the cigar, and he trying to see what you gonna do. So Eminem, 50, everybody outside.
He didn't need to say a word. His presence was the message. But it didn't stop there. Flash forward to the 2004 Vibe Awards, what was supposed to be a legendary night turned into total madness. Dr. Dre was set to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award, with Snoop Dogg and Quincy Jones right there on stage to honor him. But just as Dre was getting ready to accept it, all hell broke loose. Out of nowhere, this guy named Jimmy James Johnson walked up like he just wanted an autograph, but nah, he sucker punched Dre on stage right in front of everybody. And what followed? Straight up chaos. A full-blown brawl broke out on live TV. Chairs flying, security scrambling, people shouting. It was a total mess. That night was supposed to honor a legend, and it turned into a street fight in suits. The whole place went crazy. People in the crowd were screaming, chairs were flying across the room, and close to 1,000 people rushed for the exits in total panic. Right there in the middle of the chaos, young Buck. Reports started flying that Buck had pulled out a knife and was seen swinging it during the madness. Later on, it came out that he stabbed Jimmy James Johnson, supposedly to protect Dr. Dre.
Suddenly, you could see a shiny knife in his right hand. He lunges over the top with a stabbing motion. Police say that is 23-year-old young Buck, who then vanished.
But Buck wasn't the only one who jumped in. Johnson got hit by multiple people during the brawl. It turned into a full-on street scene right there at an award show. And yeah, you guessed it, that sparked some major legal heat. Cops came knocking, arrest warrants were issued, and Buck was suddenly facing serious charges. Now, nobody could prove for sure that Suge Knight had masterminded the whole thing, but a lot of people were real suspicious. Tony Yayo even said that right after the chaos popped off, he saw Suge Knight and Irv Gotti walking right past the G-Unit trailer like nothing happened. That move alone had everybody on edge. It felt like something bigger was in motion.
I say we were scared, but it was the Vibe Awards when we seen Suge Knight and Irv Gotti, and they walked past the trailer.
And 50 Cent, he wasn't about to get caught slipping. As soon as he got wind that something shady might be going down, he reportedly told his crew to hit the stores and load up on knives, just in case things got out of hand.
50 just look at James Cruz, so he just taps James Cruz and said, "Yo, go buy 20 knives." Yeah, just go to the hardware store. It was about 20 to 15 of us, something like that. Suge Knight got like some crazy looking Compton looking dudes with him, you know what I'm saying? So it just, you felt the energy.
You could feel the tension in the air, and clearly 50 knew the vibes were off. In the aftermath, Tony Yayo ended up with 3 years of probation and had to put in 80 hours of community service for his part in the chaos. Wild. But one thing's for sure, 50 Cent moves smart. He doesn't just hire top-tier security, he surrounds himself with street-smart people who know how to handle whatever gets thrown at them. 50 Cent always had people ready to ride for him without hesitation. And one of the most loyal, his right-hand man and main bodyguard, Monster.
Monster like the smallest, biggest security I ever know. Like his presence is big as fuck.
But Monster wasn't just some regular security guard. Nah, he was 50's personal enforcer, the one who made sure nobody even thought about stepping out of line. If 50 was anywhere, you better believe Monster was nearby, locked in and watching everything. Monster had that real goon energy, quiet, calm, but straight up dangerous when needed. He stayed low-key and not much is known about him because he keeps a super private life. But if you've ever peeped 50's old music videos or seen behind-the-scenes footage, chances are you've spotted Monster moving like a shadow right behind him. There's even a clip floating around where 50's walking through an airport and Monster's right there trying to dodge the cameras, covering his face from paparazzi. That's how in the cut he was, never seeking attention, just making sure 50 stayed protected at all times. Whenever 50 hit the club for a performance, Monster was always on high alert, posted up and watching every single move like a hawk. One of the most intense moments that shows Monster's loyalty was when things got heated between 50 and TT Trav on stage. If you watch close, you'll catch Monster in the background, locked in with a cold stare, ready to jump if anything popped off. For years, Monster wasn't just security, he was like 50's shadow, always a few steps ahead, making sure nobody got too close to the boss. There were even whispers that 50 allegedly had a video taken down from a big YouTube channel called InfoMinds, all because it covered something wild that Monster supposedly did for him.
Mysterious video that vanished from InfoMinds channel was about none other than 50 Cent.
The loyalty? Unmatched. InfoMinds is famous for putting together deep dive street documentaries, and at one point they dropped a video that really ruffled feathers. It exposed the real squad behind 50 Cent's security. They focused hard on Monster, breaking down his role as 50's silent protector and muscle behind the scenes. The video reportedly showed multiple photos of Monster posted up right next to 50 and laid it out clearly. Monster was the one handling business, making sure nobody even thought about pressing 50.
What InfoMinds did, he would show pictures of 50 Cent, different pictures of 50 Cent in regular settings, right? Until InfoMinds highlighted this guy that was in like every picture.
But it didn't stop there. The video also dragged up a serious situation that 50 was allegedly involved in. According to the reports, it broke down the messy events that went down between 50 Cent and Slowbucks at Hot 97's Summer Jam in 2014. If you remember, that was the infamous night when Slowbucks got punched on stage and had his chain snatched right in front of everyone. InfoMinds laid it all out in their video, step by step, and yeah, that didn't sit well with 50. Word on the street is 50 wasn't having it. He supposedly reached out personally to InfoMinds and had the video taken down. And let's be real, that move only made folks more suspicious about what really went down that night.
Remember that shit that happened to Slowbucks on that stage? InfoMinds documentary had footage from that Slowbucks situation. He was highlighting niggas and shit.
Monster's loyalty ran so deep, it even got him into legal trouble over the years. Protecting 50 wasn't just a job, it came with real consequences. Monster actually ended up behind bars for certain situations where he had to get physical to keep people away from 50. One of the biggest cases happened in 2010 when he was hit with assault charges in Copenhagen, Denmark. According to the New York Daily News, Monster allegedly attacked 2 photographers who were waiting outside the Sankt Petri Hotel for 50 Cent to come out. The streets were watching, and so was the law. One of the photographers, Nicolo Ira, later told Radar Online that things escalated way too fast outside that Copenhagen hotel. He said, "One of 50 Cent's bodyguards came out and told us to leave. Next thing I knew, he grabbed my throat and tried to strangle me. He cut off my airway, I couldn't breathe, then he snatched my camera and deleted the photos." Ira was so shaken up he rushed straight to the hospital to get checked out, and he wasn't staying quiet. He made it clear he was going straight to the police and filing everything necessary. So why does 50 roll with such heavy protection? Some critics have tried to clown him for using security that includes off-duty cops, calling it soft, but others say it's just smart business. When you've lived through what 50 has, you learn fast. It's better to be over-prepared than caught slipping. Everyone remembers that 50 Cent got shot 9 times. That trauma doesn't just go away, and it all traces back to one name, Supreme McGriff. Let's rewind to the 1980s. Supreme was a street legend. He founded the Supreme team in Jamaica, Queens, and under his rule, they grew into one of the most feared drug crews in New York. They controlled the crack trade in the Baisley Park houses, pulling in a wild $200,000 a day. But in 1987, Supreme got hit with a 12-year prison sentence. He came out on parole in 94, but didn't stay out long. By the end of that year, he was locked back up again. It wasn't until 1997 that he got his legal mess sorted and tried to flip his life. That's when he started linking up with Ja Rule and the Murder Inc. crew. He wasn't rapping, but he was deep in the mix, offering street-level protection to the label's artists. Around that time, Supreme and 50 Cent were actually on decent terms, but 50 wasn't popping yet. He had talent, but no buzz, no fame, nothing close to where Ja Rule was. That frustration lit a fire under 50. And instead of staying quiet, he snapped back at the whole industry through music, calling everybody out in his track. 50 Cent dropped How to Rob to get the industry's attention and stir the pot just enough to make some money off his album. But that track didn't just ruffle feathers. It set the stage for one of the most infamous beefs in rap history, 50 Cent versus Ja Rule. According to 50, it all started when his boy Troy robbed Ja Rule. Later, 50 and Ja ran into each other at a club, and 50 says he tried to clear the air, but Ja wasn't buying it. He thought 50 was in on the robbery. Ja later admitted that, yeah, he did get robbed, but denied ever seeing 50 with the dude who did it. I didn't even know, Ja said, making it sound like 50 had nothing to do with the setup. That's when Supreme McGriff, aka Premi, stepped in. He asked 50 to leave Ja alone, and since Premi was someone 50 once respected, he agreed to back off. Kinda. Even though he said he'd stop, 50 kept throwing jabs at Ja and his music. Then in 1999, something happened that shook both Premi and 50 to the core. Their mutual friend, Black Just, was killed. The story goes like this. Rapper E Moneybags was trying to buy a car from Prem and had already dropped a deposit, but when E Money wanted his money back, Prem brushed him off and laughed like it was a joke. Things got heated. E Moneybags pulled up on Preme and opened fire while Preme was riding with Black Just got hit twice, including once in the leg. Instead of taking him straight to the hospital, which was just around the corner, Premi drove back to the block and asked someone else to take Just in. That delay, it cost Just his life, and after that, E Moneybags made some serious enemies. Meanwhile, the beef with Ja Rule never really died down. Premi was always on Ja's side, constantly trying to get 50 to ease up, but 50 wasn't feeling that. He didn't like that Premi kept defending Ja, and deep down, he knew Premi never really believed in him making it big anyway. Why switch up the formula when you're already cashing in with a major star like Ja Rule? That's exactly how Supreme saw it. But things exploded when Ja and 50 ended up at the same club, and it turned into chaos. That night, 50 walked out with Ja Rule's chain, took it right off him. And he didn't just keep it, he flexed it in his video for Life's on the Line, pure disrespect. Naturally, Ja ran back to Supreme again, begging him to get his chain back, and now Premi was getting tired of 50's antics. This was the second time he had to step in to clean up messes for Ja. 50 wasn't just poking the bear, he was going for Murder Inc.'s entire reputation. And his bond with Supreme, it was falling apart fast. Tony Yayo even told a story about one of the last run-ins between 50 and Premi when things were getting real tense. 50 stood tall. He didn't back down. He let Premi know he wasn't scared, no matter what rep he had in the streets.
50 up there. Prem, dude, you know the old school shit. You know what 50 did? Yeah, my nigga.
Do it back, yeah.
Yeah, my nigga.
That's,
you know what the block did?
Yeah, that's what
To turn the heat up even more, 50 started linking with people that hated Supreme. E Moneybags, Big Nose Troy, and Green Eyed Born. These weren't just names, they were real dudes with real beef with Premi. And then came the final straw. 50 dropped Ghetto Koran. That track named names, including Supreme's. And when it leaked and got back to Premi, he snapped. 50 later said other rappers had shouted out Supreme before and he was cool with it. Even hyped that his street legend was getting mentioned in songs. But when 50 said it, different story. Some gangsters in New York understood the song was just 50 paying homage, but Prem? Nah, he didn't see it like that. Around the same time, someone tried to take Supreme out at a gas station, and he was convinced 50 was behind it. That's when it got deadly. Supreme allegedly made a call to take care of his problem. First name on the list, 50 Cent. He brought in Daryl Homo Baum, a feared enforcer who once worked as Mike Tyson's bodyguard, and handed him the job. Take out 50 Cent show for a fat payday. And soon after that, 50 got shot. On May 24th, 2000, 50 Cent stepped out of his grandmother's house with his son by his side while his grandma stood in the yard. He got into the back seat of a car parked out front. And that's when it went down. Another car pulled up slow and a gunman walked straight up to the window and let off 9 shots from a 9mm pistol. It was a straight ambush. 50 got hit in the hand, arm, hip, both legs, chest, and even his left cheek. It was a miracle he lived. Just a few inches higher and he would have been gone. But somehow, after 3 weeks in the hospital and several surgeries, 50 survived. His comeback became one of the most iconic survival stories in hip-hop history. 3 years later, 50 dropped the track Many Men and revealed that Daryl Homo Baum was the alleged shooter. But by that point, Homo was already dead, taken out by someone else, not 50. That twist of fate? A blessing in disguise for 50. While he managed to survive, not everyone around him was so lucky. In July 2001, E-Money Bags was found shot dead in his Lincoln Navigator. There are 2 stories behind why he was killed. Some say it was payback for the shooting of Black Just. Others believe it was because he had robbed Murder Inc.'s CEO, Irv Gotti and Ja Rule. Then 3 months later, Big Nose Troy, another name closely tied to 50, was also gunned down. It was clear the streets were in full retaliation mode. By 2002, law enforcement had built enough of a case to come after Supreme McGriff. He was arrested on murder-related charges. And during the investigation, Supreme pointed right to 50's track, Ghetto Quran, acting like that song was enough to link 50 to everything going on. When the police tried to press 50 for more info, he played it cool and simply said, "Listen to the record." He wasn't saying more than that. Then in 2003, Irv Gotti got pulled into the mess. Authorities started investigating Murder Inc. hard, putting the whole label on the edge of collapse. In 2005, Gotti was officially charged with laundering drug money for Supreme, but ended up beating the case in court. Supreme? Not so lucky. He got convicted on heavy charges, drug trafficking, racketeering, and murder. The empire crumbled, but 50 Cent stood tall. Even after surviving 9 bullets, dodging street wars, and shaking off federal heat, 50 Cent wasn't done climbing. He was just getting started. After the shooting, his buzz skyrocketed. Every label that once turned their back on him suddenly wanted in. But 50 didn't forget who had his back through the darkest times: Eminem and Dr. Dre. In 2002, Eminem signed 50 to Shady Records, with Dre co-signing under Aftermath, and that move changed hip-hop forever. In 2003, 50 dropped Get Rich or Die Tryin', and the streets lost their minds. The album exploded, debuting at #1 and selling nearly 1 million copies in its first week. Tracks like In Da Club, Many Men, and PIMP became anthems overnight. This wasn't just a comeback, it was a takeover, and it wasn't just the music. 50 was building an empire. He launched G-Unit Records and brought in his crew, Lloyd Banks, Young Buck, and Tony Yayo. Their mixtapes were flooding the streets, and soon, G-Unit became a movement. But 50 wasn't just focused on rap. He had business on his mind. In 2004, he signed a multi-million-dollar deal with Reebok to release G-Unit sneakers. Then came his own video game, Bulletproof, and later, the vitamin water investment that turned him into a business mogul. When Coca-Cola bought Glacéau in 2007, 50 reportedly walked away with around $100 million. Still, the drama didn't stop. Even with Supreme locked away and Murder Inc. falling apart, 50 kept his foot on their necks. He clowned Ja Rule in interviews, dropped diss tracks, and kept the rivalry alive, turning it into a blueprint for how to destroy your enemies publicly. But behind the fame, money, and power, 50 knew one thing for sure: he had made it out of a war zone. He turned trauma into triumph, pain into power. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was running the game. Using witness testimony from a hitman, along with text messages and video evidence, prosecutors finally nailed Supreme McGriff. It was all there, clear as day. They proved he hired killers for $50,000, and once everything caught up to him, his world came crashing down. With both his and Irv Gotti's assets frozen and seized, McGriff couldn't even afford his own legal team. He was forced to rely on a court-appointed attorney. And on April 9, 2007, it was over. McGriff was sentenced to life in prison. No parole, no second chances. Just cold bars and the end of his empire. But even though McGriff's reign came to a close, the impact of what he did lasted for years, especially when it came to 50 Cent. Before that shooting, people mostly knew 50 for his gritty mixtapes and raw talent, but after surviving 9 bullets to the body and face, he became a living legend. His name wasn't just tied to music anymore. It was tied to survival, strength, and unmatched toughness. He went from rapper to icon. That moment changed everything, not just for him, but for the entire hip-hop culture. Suddenly, being street smart and security ready wasn't seen as soft, it was essential. So when people questioned why 50 rolled deep with armed security or why he spent big money to protect himself, the answer was simple. He knew what the streets could do, and he wasn't about to let history repeat itself. At the end of the day, 50 didn't just survive, he thrived. He took tragedy and flipped it into a brand, a business, and a legacy. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another deep dive. And don't go anywhere. Click on the next video you see on the screen for more wild celebrity drama, beefs, and secrets the industry doesn't want you to know. See you on the next one.